This bout is what a pleasure it is to.
Great to have you with us in this all-action affair. We expect big things, and I don't think we're going to be disappointed. Nice straight. You couldn't write a script like this. This is like Rocky versus Apollo. Jab slightly off target. Every time he throws the punch, a receipt is coming right back. This fighter does everything behind the jab. Your opponent has got to watch out for that. You don't want to trade shots. They get countered. Nice counter. Gotta let your hands go. It's okay to be aggressive now. Catch and shoot. They exchange punches. That jab misses. They drop their guard, they get caught. Got out of the way of that right hook. This round's still up for grabs with just 10 seconds to go. Well, we know that the advantage so far, but how does this match get turned around? Dominance without a doubt. That looks so easy. Round two. Who's going to land his first big shot? This fight has been very one-sided. What do we think out of this round?
My motto is, if it's not broken, why change it? An excellent last round, everything works. Wait for the reaction. Until then, keep doing what you've just been doing.
Beautiful counter shot. Good counter punching. And he wasn't ready for that counter punch. This fighter has a very good win-loss record and will be tough to beat. Can't score with that hook again. A perfect counter lands. That counter punch caught him clean. Nice exchanges with both men in this round.
Perfectly matched. Skill for skill. Tap for tap. Now this fight will say, you know what, just that notch above me. And so I've got to respect both of them more than equally.
There's a counter shot. No rest for the weary. He threw a punch and just got countered. Nice counter shot. And we may see an early stoppage here. And down goes the Sandman. Let's watch that again. Replay from a different angle.
That's lights out right there.
a round for sure with the knockdown.
It can make or break a fighter.
Get it started round 3. Let's see how he bounces back here after getting dropped in the last round.
What a heavy knockdown. How are they going to come back from that? It's staggered back to the corner. They've got to freshen him up, alert them again, get them back on point again. This round, you've got to coast around. Don't get involved. Give yourself another 3 minutes to get your head clear.
So much bruising. Will the referee stop this fight? So that's that. The referee's made his judgment, and we carry on. That jab doesn't find a home. Nice counter punch right up the middle. Nice counter shot. Those counter punches have to hurt. And he scores with the counter. Hold that thought. Oh my, that's a game changer. Disaster. So he's going to get an extra 3 from the action.
What you see right there is a heartbroken fighter.
Neither one of them wants this to go to the judges' scorecard. That counter shot lands. A very competitive round with 10 seconds left. After what we saw in the last round, it's pretty obvious who has the advantage here.
So they don't get complacent. Think this is so easy.
Back at round 4. Well, there's no doubt he won that last round. Let's see what he has for us here in the next one.
My match is, if it's not broken, why change it? An excellent last round, everything worked. Wait for the reaction. Until then, keep doing what you've just been doing because one man's down.
Be careful in this seat. The fighter's vision is paramount, and the referee may stop it here. And he will stop it. TKO winner. A mercy stoppage there from the referee.
I was given the it's a career-ending fight. Feeling like I got a brand new contract. Armed and dangerous, I'm ready for combat. Soon as I catch him on sight, in contact. I get the job done proper, there's no comeback. That's not fair, people holding on the balance. But even you got the magic of habit. And when you born and blessed with all these talents. Soon as we get with the task, it's so apparent I'm fully in there. Fully activated and ready. Focused on the target, grab my weapon, hold it straight in the name. You know the name, ready, got the beast in me, screaming out, get me out, okay. I ain't got the do with the grade. The days that I'm missing, steps are calculated. On time, not a second hour late. Witnessing the mastery that we display like a king, man. Yeah. See, I go in and get the job done. Yeah, I'm moving in the shit, man. See, I go in and get the job done. They don't want none. I got that experience like I've been doing this for centuries. Before the events, I was practiced while it was empty. Never needed approval, all I needed was approval. Got switched with the movement, attacking the same way. Ain't in the same league, we breathe the same air. They act out of fear, that ain't the same here. They don't know why they came, I know I ain't clear. And when I need to switch it, I only take it here. There's any enemy where I'm down. There were so many heroes who took the spots down. I never went always between you like a cartridge. Getting even more to feel like a compound. You can count on me to do it for the right price. Hitting the seams in the right spot. They feel the presence of my life back. I'll keep the kill the same in my sight. I'm moving like a big man. Cause I go in and get the job done. You see me moving like a big man. I go in and get the job done. You know what? I'm moving like a big man. You know what? Get the job done. You see me moving like a big man. I go in and get the job done. You know what?
Ay, lakas ng ulan sa Porac. Malakas ng ulan sa Porac. Baha. Flood na po yun. Yung kasama ko sa work.
Geosynchronous orbits are weird. On the one hand, satellites in geosynchronous orbits look from afar like they're orbiting the Earth just like any other satellite. But from down here, they appear to be floating, stationary, 36,000 kilometers above our heads. Because, by definition, a geosynchronous orbit is in sync with the rotation of the Earth. It takes the same amount of time for one orbit as the Earth takes for one full rotation. So even though it's orbiting like normal around the Earth's center of mass, it's stationary with respect to the Earth's surface. Okay, technically only geosynchronous orbits above the equator are actually stationary and are called geostationary orbits. Geosynchronous orbits in general take the same time as the Earth to rotate, but can be at other angles and so appear to drift up and down in latitude while floating overhead. But regardless of whether they're geosynchronous or geostationary, they are possible because of two things: Kepler's laws and the fact that we live on a pile of rock. Kepler's third law is the observation that the farther you are from a planet or dog or whatever, the longer it takes to complete an orbit. The reasons are partly that you have to travel a longer distance to orbit around a bigger circle, compounded by the fact that gravity is weaker farther out, so you can't go as fast along the circle. But anyway, the point is that a super big orbit takes basically forever, and the closer you get, the less and less time an orbit takes. So somewhere in there is a time that's exactly in sync with the amount of time it takes the planet itself to spin around once, hence geosynchronous. And when you orbit in exactly the same time it takes the planet to spin, for someone on the planet, you appear to just float overhead. And that's the reason geosynchronous orbits are useful. If you can put a satellite just floating above you at all times, it'll also be floating above most other people and places on your side of the Earth too, and you can use it to send messages or television signals to them. Because while mountains might block the view between you, the satellite will always be up there with a clear line of sight. But there are two potential problems with geosynchronous orbits. The first is, they don't always exist. The faster a planet is spinning, the closer you have to be to it in order to be in a geosynchronous orbit. So what if the planet is spinning so fast you'd have to be inside it to be in sync? That's certainly a potential problem if you're orbiting a ball or dog or something held together by internal tension forces. A solid steel ball with a 1 meter radius spinning once per hour only has geosynchronous orbits that are inside of it. But most things you can orbit aren't held together by tension. They're held together by gravity, the same force that causes you to orbit. And a planet that's held together by gravity can only spin so fast before bits of the planet itself start getting flung off. When a planet is spinning at this maximum speed, the physics works out that a geosynchronous orbit would exactly coincide with the surface of the planet. Stuff on the surface is basically orbiting. For any spin rate that's slower than this maximum, a geosynchronous orbit is farther from the planet's surface. And the slower the spin, the farther out the geosynchronous orbit is. So, if you're orbiting something like the Earth, which is basically a pile of rock held together by gravity, there will always technically be geosynchronous orbits. And this brings us to the second potential problem, geosynchronous orbits. Even if they exist, they're not guaranteed to be useful. If a planet is spinning quickly, geosynchronous orbits around it might be too close to see much of the planet's surface. For example, if Earth took 90 minutes to spin instead of 24 hours, geosynchronous orbits would be at an altitude of around 280 kilometers, beneath the orbit of the International Space Station, and satellites there could only see 2% of the Earth's surface at one time, which is much less useful for communication. On the other hand, if a planet is spinning too slowly, geosynchronous orbits will be super far away. Sure, a satellite might see nearly half the planet's surface from there, but it would be much harder to put satellites into that orbit. You'd need super powerful antennas to send signals back and forth, and there would be a long delay while you wait for the signal to get there and back. For example, satellites in a geosynchronous orbit around Venus, a Venus synchronous orbit, would be 4 times farther from Venus than the distance from the Earth to the Moon. So communication signals would be super weak and would have a 10-second round-trip delay. Satellite TV would not be practical on Venus. And a geosynchronous orbit around the Sun, a heliosynchronous orbit, would be halfway to the planet Mercury with a nearly 3-minute round-trip signal delay. So as weird as geosynchronous orbits are, it's perhaps even weirder that we happen to live on a planet that's not just in the Goldilocks zone for life, but also in the Goldilocks zone for satellite TV. If you're looking for the Goldilocks zone for giving, you should check out GiveWell, this video's sponsor and the nonprofit that researches it.
Pack my bags, stack it back to the zone. With a sack full of daggers, I'm stoned. I'm like my own master kiss, slash my wrist with a poem, and when I'm gone, don't catch me with a sample my song.
Welcome into the WBC arena. We've been waiting a long time to see these two get it on. Alongside me, Johnny Nelson.
The pleasure's always mine,
my friend. Time for our tail of the tape. Up first, the Swarm. And they do have a speed advantage here. Up against them, the Sandman. First, we have us the Swarm from Northern Ireland, coming off a team.
This bout is scheduled for 10 rounds of boxing. Fighting out of the red corner from Northern Ireland, the Swarm. Fighting out of the blue corner from the United States of America, wearing the blue trunks with red trim, the Sandman.
One of the hottest tickets around. It's standing room only for this, our main event.
Oh, this is young man. This is the Mecca. This is the place you want to be. This is it.
What a great venue. What a great match. Cannot wait for this one.
So